Hi guys, it's Santol Majuscule. How's everyone doing? Good, good, good. I hope. I do apologise I've not been uploading as much as I want to. Hay fever is real and it really affects my ability to smell things and review things, so what better to do than a 10 list? This one has been requested a few times, so I'm going to do it. It is Sandalwood. This isn't a top 10 list, it is just a 10 list. If you've watched my top 10s before, sometimes I do favourites, sometimes I just give a list. I like to give a variety, I like to throw a few wild cards in and just mix it up a little bit and not just do the same old samey same stuff. Sameness. So, sandalwood. To me, it is the most beautiful of all of the woods in the forest. It's the beautiful, elusive, sultry, buttery, soft, flowy wood, not too shouty, and I think it just adds such a beautiful dimension to any perfume that it's put in. Sandalwood perfumes are lovely. Sandalwood's normally in orientals, which I love, so there are a couple of different types. There is Australian sandalwood, well there's a lot of types, but mainly in perfume it's either Australian sandalwood, which is the more commonly used one because I think it's more readily available, and then there is this gorgeous, sought after, highly prized Mysore sandalwood from India, which I think is over harvested, which is I think the reason why it's not available. It's in some perfumes, but you'll only find it really in niche perfumes. It's not in mass-produced perfumes because it's expensive. So without further ado, here is my list. My jumbled and hopefully interesting list of sandalwood perfumes that I have taken notice of. So the first one on the list is Bois d'Azil by Chanel. Oh my gosh, I was gifted this last year and the sandalwood in this is absolutely beautiful. There's iris in here too. It's very soft, it's kind of leathery. But the sandalwood in here is a good example of a very soft, flowy sandalwood that just adds that sultry elegance to a perfume. This gives me Samsara vibes if you took out the jasmine and the violet from Samsara and made it less sharp. It's a beautiful, soft, very classy perfume, and I think I'm going to wear it today after this video. So, yeah, that's that. The next one is an interesting one. It's called South and it's by Mendita Rosa, an Italian company. They have two fragrances, one called North, one called South. The South one is a sandalwood. What's really cool about this perfume is it has a little metal tag on the front with the name of the perfume, but if you lift it up, it has coordinates on the back to an exact place in Tuscany, in Italy, where this fragrance is inspired by. They wanted to go for a gorgeous, rustic, Tuscan Italian home style feeling with this one, and the sandalwood in here is very dry. It's a dry note and they pair it together with bread, and also they wanted to create the feeling of varnishings. Oh, my light just went off. That's just typical of a video of mine, something just turns off. So as I was saying, they wanted it to be like varnished furniture, new furniture, sandalwood and bread, like a homely feel, playing with warm and cold tones. Definitely check it out if you can because it's an interesting sandalwood for sure. It's one of the more abstract ones on the list. The next one on the list is Dune by Christian Dior. It's very easy to focus on the aldehyde part of this fragrance and the mandarin, the kind of juicy orangey aldehyde thing that it gives you. But this is a great sandalwood. The sandalwood in here is what gives this fragrance its specialness. There's obviously aldehydes too, but the sandalwood is what gives it that crisp, sultry woodiness, the similar sultry woodiness that you get from Samsara. It's the sharp, piercing sandalwood as opposed to the fluffy, buttery one. So this one's been around since the 90s. I love a 90s perfume, I always will, and I really appreciate this one for its uniqueness of having orange aldehydes and a beautiful sandalwood together. It's a flowy, gorgeous perfume that has a lovely sillage and just wafts in a nice way. So, Dune by Dior. The next one on the list is the super wild card, and I thought to myself, should I even put it on the list or not? But I'm putting it on the list because I want to talk about it. That's why. I'm fulfilling my own wish here. It is Santal 33 by Le Labo. If I had a penny for every time a customer came to my shop and when I asked them what they wear, they said this, I'd be very rich. There is some kind of Santal 33 phenomenon that's happening in the world, or has been happening for quite a few years. It's a very, very popular perfume. I think a lot of people that wore this perfume when it first came out are now getting tired of the fact that it's very popular, because I hear that quite a lot in my job. And there's also, I can think of 5 companies that have popped up with their own version of this fragrance. The reason I want to put it on the list is because it doesn't smell like sandalwood. I feel like Le Labo are just putting confusion out into the universe. This fragrance smells like violet leaves, and all of the other, let's say, dupes or imitations of this perfume all contain violet leaf as well. So Le Labo are very good at naming a fragrance something and then not making it smell like that. I don't know why they do that. I think it just creates confusion in the world and in brains of the peoples. If you had smelled their Ylang 429 fragrance and you'd never smelled Ylang Ylang before, you would have a very skewed image or view of what Ylang Ylang smells like, and I just don't know why they do it, but I've put it on the list because it is viewed as a sandalwood perfume. It's a very good fragrance, it's very, very good indeed. It's on the dry side, but it's mainly kind of green and woody, but not in a sandalwood way. The main voted note of it on Fragrantica is sandalwood. I don't know why or how, because as far as I'm concerned, there's no sandalwood in there. Or if there is, it's not the focus. So that one's a little bit of a trickster, and I put it on the list just so I can air my opinions about the matter. So thanks for listening. Thanks. The next one on the list is one that has been on my wish list for a while. It is Rouge Avignon by Fedon. This is a gourmand fragrance in an unusual way. This features raspberry, it features rose, it features cocoa, and it features tuber, kind of a mushroomy, earthy note. It gets, and a lot of sandalwood obviously, it gets compared to Tom Ford's Black Orchid quite a lot, even though I don't think it does. It does share a lot of the notes, but it doesn't smell the same at all. And I feel like I've mentioned this before recently. I think it was in my wishlist video, yeah. But anyway, when you wear this, it's cocoa, it's raspberry, it's rose, it's earthy and unusual, it's semi-sweet, it's not pushing the gourmand to a sickly place, but the dry down of this one is a wonderful sandalwood that on me stays for a very long time. It's the sharper sandalwood, it's not the flowy, buttery one. I'm talking about the tonality of the way sandalwood behaves in perfumes, and this one's got that sharp, sultry sandalwood bite at the end that I just love. I love the dry down, so that's why I wanted to put it on the list. Rouge Avignon by Fedon. Let me just let this helicopter pass. So inconvenient, so rude. The next one on the list is Sensuous by Estee Lauder. This one, to me, when I first smelled it, I was disappointed. I thought, oh, it's not got enough punch, because I didn't quite know what to expect, and I like my fragrances to be a bit more punchy. This one actually is an amber, there's honey in there as well, but it's mainly a sandalwood fragrance, and it's a very quiet sandalwood as well. This one shows the drier side of the wood. It's not got the texture and the oomph and the luxuriousness of what sandalwood really is, but it's a good version of a dry fragrance that I think is quite inoffensive and a good place to start if you want to try out some sandalwoods on a commercial level. So Sensuous by Estee Lauder. The next one's a pretty cool one. I do feel like it leans a little bit masculine, but it's called Chambre Noire by Olfactive Studio, which means dark room. It's called dark room because the line is all about photography and photos and panoramic views and photos of land art and things like that. This one's a violet fragrance, but it's also a really beautiful, woody and kind of masculine and dark sandalwood. The sandalwood is present the whole time. It's not something that reveals like some of the other perfumes on this list. It's something you can feel straight away. It's kind of the crux of the whole perfume. This one's also leathery. It also has plum in it, so it's got a dark fruity aspect, a lovely cutting sandalwood and leather, and just I keep using the word sultry, but that's what sandalwood is to me. It's a sultry wood, and this fragrance has got a little bit of mysteriousness about it, and I think sandalwood creates that anyway. It's kind of like an elusive wood that is sometimes a feeling, sometimes you have to really find it in a formula, but this one you can really feel it. So yeah, Chambre Noire by Olfactive Studio. You know I'm going to have to put a zoologist on this list because they are my favourite niche house and they do have a good sandalwood, and it's a really unusual one. So it's Elephant. Elephant is inspired by India. It's about elephants trudging through a jungle, crushing leaves, breaking things with their big massive bodies. And this fragrance is a very, very dry sandalwood as well. You've got dry sandalwood, you have crushed leaves, you have cocoa, and you have a husky, dry coconut sort of feeling to it as well. So it's kind of exotic in a dry green way. It's greener than it is woody, I would say, but the sandalwood plays a huge role in this one. And if you want something that's a little bit unconventional or outside of the box in terms of a sandalwood, this one is definitely one to try. I think it's cool. We have more helicopters. I hope everyone's okay around here. I hope nothing bad's happening. Helicopters aren't usually a good sign, are they, if it's police? So the next one on the list is Santol Majuscule by Serge Lutens. This one is a real simple one. It just contains rose, chocolate and sandalwood. That's the 3 notes they list. Obviously there's probably more in there, but that's the 3 main things you smell. And that's pretty much how the fragrance descends when you wear it. You get rosiness at first, descending into cocoa, and then it ends on a beautiful sandalwood note that again stays and stays. Sandalwood is a long-lasting note, usually. So this is a nice, simple one, leaning towards gourmand, and rose and chocolate go so well together. And then you just have the sandalwood there, giving it that little twist of, hey, I'm here. I'm gonna just add my little spice and, well, not spice, but you know, I'm gonna add my little 2 cents worth. But yeah, it really dries into such a lovely sandalwood at the end that's more like a chocolatey one. So I wanted to put that one on the list too. And the last one on the list is the wonderful Dior Addict, another Dior fragrance. I didn't even realise I'd put 2 on here, but what the hell. Dior Addict, although it's a vanilla, although it's a tonka, although there are white florals in there, the thing that gives it its beautifulness and its exotic mysteriousness is sandalwood. It never occurred to me when I first smelled it that that's what the woodiness was, but this is another example of the crisp, flowy, not buttery sandalwood that you find in Samsara and those things where it's just really biting and punchy and just super exotic and wonderful. And Dior Addict I wanted to end on because everyone knows it. If you haven't, you should try it because even the new version I can live with. I think it's really cool. So yeah, a white floral, very sweet, vanillic, but punchy sandalwood fragrance to end on. That's it. That's my list. I hope you liked it. Anyway guys, if you want to see more videos, click my logo to subscribe or whatever you do to get recommendations. Yeah. I'm Ouch110, trying to make the world smell better, one video at a time. And I'll try and do some more videos when I can get over my hay fever.